There's a certain stillness in the way a house breathes at midnight, isn't there? It's like the walls themselves are holding their secrets close, whispering only to those who listen hard enough. I'm Lauren, 32, lying here in the quiet of our suburban home just outside Chicago, the world beyond our window reduced to the faint chirp of crickets weaving through the summer air. This bedroom, with its soft gray comforter and the dim amber glow of the bedside lamp, feels like a cocoon, safe, familiar, a little worn at the edges. I can smell Ethan's cedarwood cologne lingering on the pillow next to me, a scent that's been my constant for the past 5 years of marriage. He's 35, a financial consultant who spends his days crunching numbers and charming clients, while I carve out my own space as a freelance graphic designer, sketching and creating from the little office nook in our cozy home. Our life together is comfortable. That's the word I keep coming back to. Not the fiery, can't keep our hands off each other passion of our early days, but a steady warmth, like a favorite sweater you slip into without thinking. We've settled into routines, coffee in the morning while he skims the news on his tablet, me doodling absent-mindedly on a napkin, evenings where I'm tweaking a design project and he's unwinding with a podcast. But there are still moments that remind me why I fell for him. Just last week, we were at the kitchen table, a bottle of cheap red wine between us, the kind that stains your lips and makes you giggle over nothing. I'd overcooked the pasta, again. And he teased me about it, saying I'd turn us into soup enthusiasts at this rate. We laughed so hard I nearly spilled my glass, and for a second, it was just us. No bills or deadlines, just the sound of our shared joy bouncing off the walls. Those are the snapshots I hold on to, the ones that make the mundane feel like enough. But it's the late-night talks that really stitch us together. After the dishes are done, after the world outside fades to black, we crawl into this bed and let our thoughts spill out. Sometimes it's silly stuff, dreams of winning the lottery and buying a cabin in the woods, or debating whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Other times, it's heavier, fears of growing old, of not doing enough with the time we've got. And occasionally, we tiptoe into fantasies, the kind of whispered what-ifs that feel daring in the dark. I've always loved those moments, the way they peel back the layers of who we are, showing me parts of Ethan I don't see in the daylight. His voice gets softer then, almost reverent, and I can feel the weight of his hand resting on mine under the blanket. Lately, though, something's shifted. A few nights ago, as we lay here side by side, the crickets humming their endless song, our conversation took a turn I never saw coming. I was restless that night, my body refusing to settle into the mattress, my eyes tracing invisible patterns on the ceiling while Ethan lay beside me, the faint blue glow of his phone screen flickering across his face. The cool sheets brushed against my skin, a stark contrast to the warmth radiating from him, and I could hear the soft tap of his thumb scrolling through whatever app had his attention. It was one of those moments where the silence felt heavier than it should, like it was pressing down on my chest, urging me to break it. So I did. I turned my head slightly, my hair rustling against the pillow, and let out a playful little hum before asking, "Hey babe, what's one fantasy you've never told me about?" I expected a smirk, maybe a quip about something ridiculous like skydiving naked or owning a pet tiger. I propped myself up on one elbow, the sheet slipping down my shoulder, and grinned at him, waiting for the banter to start. My voice had that teasing lilt, the kind that usually gets us both laughing. I even tossed out my own confession to keep the mood light, saying, "You know, I've always been a little curious about what it'd be like to be with another guy. Just a silly thought, you know." I figured he'd roll his eyes, maybe pretend to be jealous and pull me close with a mock growl, or nudge me with his elbow and call me trouble. That's how these late-night games usually go. But instead, there was this stillness. Ethan stopped scrolling. His thumb froze mid-air, and he set his phone down on the nightstand with a deliberate slowness that made my playful grin falter. He turned to face me, his eyes locking onto mine, and there was this intensity in his gaze that I hadn't seen in a long time. It pinned me in place, made my breath hitch in my throat. The blue light was gone now, but the dim amber from my side of the bed caught the sharp lines of his jaw, casting half his face in shadow. When he spoke, his voice was low, steady, almost too calm, like he'd been waiting to say this for longer than I could guess. If you ever do it, let me be there. I want to watch. Those words hit me like a physical thing, a jolt that sent my heart thudding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. My mouth went dry, and I couldn't find a single thing to say. I just stared at him, searching his face for a hint of a joke, a crack in that serious expression. But there was nothing. Just that quiet passion burning in his eyes, and the weight of what he'd said hanging between us like a thick fog. I think I blinked, maybe swallowed hard, but I couldn't tell you for sure because my mind was already spinning out of control. What did he mean by that? Was he serious? Did I even want him to be? I eased myself back down onto the pillow that night, my mind a whirlwind of questions I didn't dare voice. The days that followed were strange, like walking on a tightrope I hadn't even known was there. It's been a week since that conversation, and Ethan and I haven't brought it up again, not directly. But there's something different now, an undercurrent that hums beneath every interaction. I catch him looking at me sometimes, his gaze lingering just a second too long across the breakfast table, his hazel eyes searching mine as if he's waiting for me to say something. And I'm just as guilty. My fingers brush against his arm when I pass him in the hallway, a touch that feels heavier than it should, loaded with unspoken words. It's like we've made some silent pact, one neither of us is ready to name. But it's there, simmering just below the surface. I've spent hours at my desk this week, surrounded by the familiar clutter of sketch pads and colored pencils in my little office nook. I'm supposed to be working on a logo for a new client, but my focus is shot. My pencil hovers over the paper, tracing half-hearted lines that go nowhere, while my thoughts keep circling back to that night. Part of me is curious, drawn to the idea in a way that surprises me, like a moth to a flame I know could burn me. What would it be like to step outside the boundaries of our marriage, even just for a moment, with Ethan right there, part of it all? But then there's the fear, sharp and cold, slicing through the intrigue. What if this changes everything? What if we can't go back to the comfort we've built, to the laughter over overcooked pasta and the quiet nights tangled in each other's warmth? I keep asking myself if I'm willing to risk it, to trade the safety of the known for a taste of something wild and uncharted. And every time, I come up empty, torn between the pull of desire and the weight of doubt. Then, last night, everything shifted again. We were at the dining table, just the two of us. The remnants of a simple chicken stir-fry on our plates. The kitchen light casting a soft glow over the room. The air smelled faintly of soy sauce and garlic, and I was sipping on a glass of water, trying to act like everything was normal. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his posture relaxed. But there was something in the way he held himself, a quiet determination I couldn't ignore. He looked at me over the rim of his own glass, his eyes burning with that same intensity I saw a week ago, and said, as casually as if he were suggesting a movie night, "Why don't we explore that fantasy of yours? See where it takes us." His voice was steady, almost too calm, but I could hear the undercurrent of excitement, the unspoken challenge woven into every word. My heart stuttered, and I set my glass down with a shaky hand, the clink against the table louder than I intended. I opened my mouth to respond, but all I managed was a whisper, barely audible even to myself. "Okay." That single word felt like stepping off a cliff, no parachute, no idea where I'd land. But once it was out, there was no taking it back. We sat there for a moment, the silence stretching taut between us, before Ethan nodded, a small, almost imperceptible gesture, like we'd just sealed a deal. Then we started planning, right there at the table, as if we were organizing a weekend getaway. We agreed on a neutral location, a hotel downtown, somewhere separate from the life we've built in this house, a place where the walls don't know us. It felt safer that way, like we could contain whatever this was, keep it from spilling into the everyday. We talked logistics, when, how, the little details that made it real in a way that scared me more than I can say. But there was a strange thrill in it too, a shared energy as we mapped out this uncharted territory together. And then came the part I hadn't expected to face so soon, choosing someone. I didn't think I'd have anyone in mind. Here I am, standing in the sleek, mirrored elevator of this downtown Chicago hotel, the polished steel reflecting a version of myself I barely recognize. My heart's pounding so hard, I swear it's echoing off the walls, louder than the soft hum of the machinery carrying us up to the 12th floor. The air feels tight, like it's pressing in on me, and the silence between us is a living thing, thick and heavy, broken only by the gentle ding as we pass each floor. I steal a glance at Ethan beside me, his face unreadable, but then his hand brushes against mine, a fleeting touch that sends a jolt through me. It's meant to be reassuring, I know, but it only makes my shaky breaths come faster, each one catching in my throat. I try to steady myself, focusing on the cool metal of the elevator railing under my fingertips, but my mind is a storm of what-ifs and second guesses. Then there's Jake, standing just a step ahead, his broad shoulders relaxed, that easy smirk playing on his lips like this is just another Saturday night for him. I met him through a mutual friend, a guy who's always had this effortless charm, the kind that draws people in without trying. We'd talked about him before tonight, Ethan and I, weighing if he'd be the right fit. And now here he is, acting like we're just heading up for a casual drink, not whatever this is about to be. The elevator dings one last time, and the doors slide open with a whisper, revealing a long, carpeted hallway bathed in muted golden light. My legs feel like they might betray me as we step out, but I force myself to keep moving, following Jake's confident stride while Ethan stays close, his presence a quiet anchor. We reach the room, number 1207, and Jake swipes the keycard with a practiced flick of his wrist. The door clicks open, and I'm hit with a wave of cool air and the faint, calming scent of lavender drifting from some hidden air freshener. Stepping inside, I take in the space. A modern haven of clean lines and understated luxury. The king-sized bed dominates the room, its crisp white sheets folded with military precision, looking almost too perfect to touch. A sleek black dresser sits against one wall, a bottle of wine and 3 glasses already waiting, as if someone knew exactly how this night would unfold. The floor-to-ceiling window draws my eye next, framing the city beyond like a painting, the twinkling lights of Chicago stretching out into the dark, a silent witness to whatever happens here tonight. It's beautiful, but it only heightens the surreal feeling coursing through me, like I've stepped into someone else's life. We stand there for a moment, the 3 of us, an awkward triangle in the middle of this pristine room. No one seems to know how to start, and the tension coils tighter in my chest with every passing second. I shift my weight from one foot to the other, my hands fidgeting at my sides, unsure whether to speak or wait. Ethan lingers near the window, his silhouette sharp against the city glow, while I hover near the bed, not daring to sit, as if that would commit me to something I'm not ready for. Jake, though, doesn't hesitate. He moves with that same easy confidence, crossing to the dresser and picking up the bottle of wine. The label catches the light as he tilts it, a deep red that looks almost black in the dim room, and he pours 3 glasses with a steady hand, the liquid glugging softly into each one. "Nice view, huh?" he says, breaking the silence with a casual tone, handing me a glass first. I take it, my fingers brushing his for a split second, and mutter something about how pretty the skyline looks, though I barely register my own words. Ethan takes his glass next, nodding as he comments on the unusually clear night. The kind of small talk you'd make at a work event. Not here. I sip the wine, the rich, slightly bitter taste coating my tongue, and feel a warmth spread through me, starting in my chest and creeping outward, dulling the sharp edges of my nerves just a little, though not nearly enough to quiet the storm inside me. I'm clutching the wine glass like it's a lifeline, the cool stem grounding me as my eyes dart between Jake and Ethan, trying to read the room, to gauge what's coming next. The city lights flicker beyond the window, indifferent to the charged air in here, and I can't help but feel like I'm teetering on the edge of something I can't fully grasp. My pulse is a wild drumbeat in my ears, and every breath feels shallow, like I'm not getting enough oxygen despite the coolness of the room brushing against my skin. Jake sets his glass down with a soft clink on the dresser, and before I can process it, he's closing the distance between us. His movements are smooth, deliberate, like he's done this 1,000 times, and I'm suddenly hyper-aware of every inch of space shrinking away. He stops just in front of me, close enough that I can feel the warmth radiating from him, a stark contrast to the chill of the air-conditioned room. His hand reaches out, tentative at first, brushing against my arm, and it's like a spark ignites under my skin, sending a shiver racing down my spine. I glance toward Ethan instinctively, my heart lurching as I see him still by the window, his glass untouched in his hand, his eyes locked on us with an intensity that pins me in place. He's not moving, not speaking, just watching, and that gaze, it's both a weight and a thrill, making my stomach twist in ways I can't name. Jake's touch grows bolder, his fingers trailing up my arm to my shoulder, and then he's guiding me gently but firmly toward the bed. My feet move almost on their own, the soft carpet muffling my steps, but inside I'm a whirlwind of raw emotion. There's shame, sharp and bitter, clawing at the edges of my mind. How can I be doing this? Breaking the vows I made to Ethan, the promises whispered in a church full of family and friends. But there's also this electric thrill, the forbidden nature of it all coursing through me like wildfire, making my skin tingle with every step. And beneath it all, there's something else, something unexpected, a sense of empowerment, like I'm finally claiming a piece of myself I've kept buried for too long, taking control of a desire I've only ever whispered about in the dark. We reach the edge of the bed, and I hear the faint creak of the mattress as Jake eases me down onto it. The crisp white sheets cool against the backs of my legs. The sound of fabric rustling fills the air as he moves closer, his shirt brushing against mine, and I'm overwhelmed by the heat of his hands, one resting on my waist, the other sliding up to cup my face. It's a stark contrast to the coolness of the room, the air whispering across my exposed skin, raising goosebumps in its wake. My breath hitches, loud in the quiet, and I can't help but steal another glance at Ethan. He's moved now, just slightly, settling into a chair in the corner of the room, his posture rigid, his face unreadable in the dim light. But his eyes, God, those eyes, they're hypnotic, burning into me with a focus that makes my chest tighten. It unnerves me, the way he's so still, so silent, like he's not just watching, but studying every moment, every reaction. And yet it excites me too, this strange dance of being seen, of knowing he's part of this in his own way. My mind is a mess of conflicting thoughts as Jake's lips find my neck, warm and insistent, sending a jolt of sensation through me that drowns out everything else for a moment. Guilt flickers in, sharp and fleeting. Thoughts of our wedding day, of Ethan's smile as we danced under string lights, of the life we've built brick by brick. But those thoughts dissolve almost as quickly as they come, swept away by the tidal wave of anticipation building inside me, by the raw, undeniable pleasure of this moment. I hate to admit it, even to myself, but I can't deny the rush, the way every nerve in my body feels alive, heightened by the weight of Ethan's gaze and the unfamiliar yet intoxicating closeness of Jake. Time seems to blur after that, moments stretching and collapsing into a haze of sensation and emotion. It's like I'm outside myself, watching this unfold, yet so deeply in it that every touch, every breath, burns into my memory. And when it's over, when the intensity finally ebbs, I'm left breathless, tangled in the aftermath of something I never imagined I'd experience. The room falls into a heavy silence now, the kind that feels almost tangible, pressing against my skin. I'm still on the bed, the sheets rumpled beneath me, my chest rising and falling as I try to catch my breath. Jake is already up, moving with that same casual ease as he gathers his things from the dresser. His shirt is slightly wrinkled, his movements unhurried, like this was just a fleeting stop in his night. He turns to me, offering a polite nod, a small gesture that feels oddly formal after everything. "Take care, Lauren," he says, his voice low, almost kind, before he glances at Ethan with a brief acknowledgement. Then he heads for the door, his footsteps soft on the carpet, and with a final click, it shuts behind him. The sound echoes in the stillness, a sharp punctuation to his exit, leaving just the two of us in this charged, unfamiliar space. I sit on the edge of the bed now, my legs dangling over the side, my hands gripping the sheets as if they can anchor me. My heart is still pounding, a relentless drum in my chest, and I feel exposed in a way that goes beyond the physical. The room is too quiet without Jake's presence, the absence of his easy confidence amplifying the vulnerability creeping over me. The cool air brushes against my skin, raising a shiver, and I wrap my arms around myself, trying to hold on to some semblance of composure. I can't bring myself to look at Ethan yet, my eyes fixed on the floor, tracing the pattern of the carpet as if it holds answers to the storm of feelings swirling inside me. What does he think of me now? Is there judgment waiting in his silence, or something else entirely? I hear the faint creak of the chair as Ethan rises, his movements slow, deliberate, each sound magnified in the hush of the room. My stomach tightens, bracing for what's coming, anger, regret, maybe even disgust. I wouldn't blame him if he felt any of those things. I'm not even sure what I feel myself, but instead of words, there's the soft shuffle of his steps across the carpet, and then the mattress dips beside me as he sits down. I tense, waiting, my breath shallow, until I feel the weight of his arm drape across my shoulders. He pulls me close, his grip firm yet gentle, and I'm enveloped by the warmth of his body. A stark contrast to the chill that settled into my bones. My head rests against his chest, and I can hear the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a grounding pulse that cuts through the chaos in my mind. The familiar scent of cedar wood surrounds me, that comforting trace of him that's been my safe harbor for years, and for a moment I let myself melt into it, letting the tension seep out of my shoulders. We sit like that for what feels like an eternity, neither of us speaking, just breathing together in the dim light of the hotel room. The city glows beyond the window, indifferent to the seismic shift that's just happened here, its lights twinkling like distant stars. I'm not sure what I expected after all this, but it wasn't this quiet acceptance, this unspoken connection that feels stronger somehow, despite everything. Or maybe because of it. Then, breaking the silence, Ethan's voice comes, soft but firm. A whisper against my ear that sends a shiver down my spine. Next time, you'll choose too. The words hit me like a shockwave, rippling through the fragile calm I just started to grasp. My breath catches, and I pull back just enough to look at him, searching his face for a hint of jest, a crack in the facade that might reassure me. But instead, I find only a steady resolve that leaves me both intrigued and apprehensive about the choices that lie ahead. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.